Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another weekly, bi-weekly, I should say. What's This Bird live Q&A. I am joined once again by my colleague here, Greg Neise. Greg, how's your July been? Hot? What's going on there?
It's been hot here. It's being close to Lake Michigan, we get a hot blast, and then as the system goes by, we get the backside of it, and we get the lake breeze, and then it's cool. And that can happen in 24 hours often. But no, it's been hot and just kind of slow, and just I've been hunkered down, and it's interesting. You send me these the birds we're going to talk about ahead of time, and I haven't seen any of them because I've been so had my up to my ears with other work for the things we do here. I haven't seen any of these birds yet, so I got
Yeah,
to get in
yeah.
there and
I had a little trouble
look at
with
these.
PowerPoint not long ago, and I just noticed that it deleted all. I had all these little things where I had, where the birds were seen, so people could see that on the screen, and I just have to redo this. So please bear with me while I do those. I might be doing those on the fly. Hello to everybody watching in the What's This Bird group on Facebook. You may also be watching on YouTube and on Twitter. If you have any questions about birds, bird ID, we've already got a couple of them in Periscope here that we'll touch on. And if you have any questions about birds ID, stuff you're seeing, stuff that you've seen in the What's This Bird Facebook group, please let us know, and we will do our best to try and do those identifications live, coming to y'all. So hello to all the people watching. I don't really anything else you want to start with, Greg, because I got to do this thing real quick where I put the captions on some of these bird names. But feel free to vamp for a little while.
Yeah, we are woefully unprepared for this one today. Like I said, the ABA
Not
has
my
we've got
fault. I
a
blame
we've
PowerPoint.
it's yeah, we've got things happening in all sectors of everything we do. There's a fundraising campaign we're trying to wrap up. We've got a new magazine coming out. There's a lot of new web content. Nate has the podcast now running every week instead of every other
Every
week.
dang
Uh,
week.
yeah. Um, so yeah, we've been really busy. Um, and
Where
as far as birds, it's now we're getting into shorebird season, and I think the baby birds, there's still baby birds around, but not we're getting some second and third uh, nestings.
Yeah, I got a few. I got a few
Broods,
baby
the word
birds,
is
which
that I was searching for. What's that?
I got a few baby birds. That is one of the things that someone asked about on Periscope, that they wanted us to talk a little bit about juvenile birds right now. There are a lot of juvenile birds out right now.
There
And
are.
when we say juvenile, we've got we're trying to be as specific as possible, because that is a very specific term that can be very confusing a lot of times. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. I think I got everything on here except for this one baby bird that I've forgotten. I think it's in Florida, so I'll just put Florida. Um, Otherwise, hello to everybody. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about at G Momo of G Mom of 10. Asked, please spend some time discussing ideas of juvenile birds, and also noted that she thinks she hears a fledgling barred owl recently there in Maryland. Almost certainly you did. This is a great time of year to see barred owls. It's a great time of year to see nocturnal species generally, because the feeding of the baby birds does not stop. Is not just a day or night thing. They need to be feeding those chicks throughout the day, so they're going to be going out and looking for food, and throughout the day, so you can see things like barred owls. Where I live here in Greensboro, North Carolina, we have a nesting pair of barred owls at a city park not too far away from downtown, and people always go see them in the summer because the babies are out begging for food, and the parents are really active in the middle of the summer, so it's a great time to see nocturnal birds and other things. Amari Yash, hello. Jenny Shockley,
Hey,
hello. We
Mar.
will just wing it.
Yeah, we've
Just
got
in time.
And I've got a watch party hosted here, and if you didn't hear, you guys, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about concerning birds or birding, just drop it in the comments, and we'll try to pick it up.
Yeah, so shall we jump right into the birds we've got? Because I do. The first thing that I have
Sure.
is something that is the first bird that I have here on our slideshow is something that a lot of birders are going to be seeing right now, July and August, that may confuse them. I'm not so concerned about the identification of the bird, which, as you can see, is pretty clearly a wood duck, even if it is awfully muted. But people often have a lot of questions about this specific plumage, which is a very common late summer thing. You want to talk about eclipse plumage, Greg?
Well, in a nutshell, ducks lose when they molt in the summertime. The males, the males kind of they look like females, and they also lose their flight feathers, and or at least to a large degree do, and can't fly very well.
Yeah, you can see that on this bird. You can see that the
Exactly.
wings just kind of come to a stumpy end right there. So it looks like it's molting its primaries, which
Yep.
means that they can't fly very well, as Greg says.
And there's usually a giveaway. In mallards, a male in eclipse plumage, it's still got a little rusty kind of hint on the breast, like it's
Yeah.
been feeding in mud. The bill color stays the same. Um, and here we see this wood duck that looks at first glance like a female,
Mm-hmm.
but look at the face pattern. The face pattern, with the white throat, and the bill color. Off the top of my head, I think the bill color in the male wood duck is different than the female.
Yeah.
But anyways, the face pattern is definitely a male wood duck.
Yeah, female wood
And
ducks still have that white patch around the eye that you see all in the other times of year. So even something that's going to be very muted is still going to be a male because it lacks that very distinct.
and this is not a juvenile, and this is not a juvenile bird. This is an adult.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see birds like this with a bunch of little fluffy babies trailing along behind them as well. Yeah, so wood duck, eclipse plumage, definitely keep an eye out. It's a relatively brief period for ducks because they don't necessarily want to be flightless for a very long period of time for obvious reasons, but they do get this very muted version of their kind of classic plumage this time of year. Because they are mostly flightless, it's more difficult for them to go away. It's a little more camouflaged. And then when they molt, ducks will molt later this fall, and then they will be looking super, super flashy because ducks do their pair bonding primarily in the winter months. So that is the time when you're going to see really, really nice looking ducks. The males with bright green head, the multicolored bill on a wood duck, just looking, really nice like wood ducks do. This is a great time to kind of pause and say that we are giving away Greg talked about all the things that the ABA is doing and all the great things that you can get if you are a member of the ABA. But I do want to say that we are doing we're giving away a membership, a code to get a membership, $10 off an ABA membership. And that code is WTB10. That's the wrong one. Hold on. Let me fix that. What's this bird? WBT10. I'm going to throw it up there right on top of me. WTB10. If you go and join the ABA, any sort of membership, regular membership, e-membership, family membership, you can get $10 off if you use this code when you check out. And it is good for today only. Today only. Through the end of the day, today. It expires on August 1st. Yep. Which, as we know,
$10 off any membership.
Tomorrow. Yeah, so let's go to our next bird here.
I love this one.
10 asked for baby birds. We got some baby birds for you. This photo was taken from Rochester, New York. This is Greg. This is a dinosaur.
It is. Well, it also is. It's just the most, like, in human terms, the most gangly preteen you could possibly imagine. I mean, I love this photo. But you know, look not just at the gestalt, but look at the features of this bird individually, and there is always a clue. And in this case, we see that pale supercilium and the dark looking kind of mask, and that face is kind of unmistakable as a waxwing.
Yep, ABA Bird of the Year 2020, cedar waxwing. And I do want to point out, so Greg pointed out the reasons why this is a waxwing, but I also just want to point out the reasons why it's a baby bird. So if you see a bird like this, why you immediately know that this is a fledgling, a very recently out of the nest bird. And there's a few things we're looking for. That one, that gangly appearance, as Greg points out, birds never look so much like dinosaurs as they do when they are immediately just coming out of the nest. And also, you can see the gape here at the bill, at the base of the bill that goes underneath the eye, bright yellow. That is a visual cue for the parent birds to feed the babies. So baby birds always have that gape there. And also, you know, feathers coming out at awkward positions, stumpy, no tail for the most part. Yeah, it looks incomplete. It's an incomplete bird. But it definitely is cedar waxwing, as Greg pointed out.
And another thing to just bring up here is that when you see a bird like this, it is the word fledgling is again another specific term, and this is a bird that has left the nest on its own. It has fledged. It's learning to fly, and the parents follow it around and protect it and feed it. And a lot of people think they're helping a bird like this when they find it and they pick it up and they take it to rehab or try to feed it. And no, this bird is perfectly fine. Leave it alone. You know, unless it's in some kind of danger, like there's a house cat around or it's in a bike trail or something like that, you know, get it off the trail. But when you see a bird like this, just leave it alone, because it's perfectly fine and being tended to by its parents.
They make noise. The parents they know their chicks. They can find their chicks wherever they are. And as Greg says, you know, so long as that bird is, you know, relatively safe, no cats around, no chances of it getting scooshed, it's probably going to be all right. And keep your cats indoors so they don't go after these babies. This is a very vulnerable time of year for birds, and keep your cats indoors if that's an option.
Did you say scooshed?
Not scooshed, yeah, you know.
Is that like some kind of mid-Atlantic thing?
I think it might be a Midwestern thing.
No, because that's squashed.
It's
scooshed.
It's a neologism. I made it up on the spot. All right, so we got some more chicks, and this one is not out of the nest. Well, nest is a very it's not. It's a different kind of term.
It actually is,
bird, but yeah.
And this one's kind of special for me. This is my favorite bird.
Oh, that's why. Thank you for reminding me. It's not actually Florida. It's Kane County, Illinois. So this one's right in your.
And this is one that I did see. That I did see before we went on here. And part of why this bird is one of my favorites is that when I was a kid, and I worked alongside Dr. Beecher at the Chicago Academy of Sciences, there were a pair of these birds nesting across the street from his apartment in Lincoln Park. And that summer, he, along with me, decided to study how they grew up. Now, all right, so we'll just cut to the chase. This is a baby common nighthawk.
Baby common nighthawk.
They nest on the ground.
Former ABA Bird of the Year.
Exactly. They nest on the ground. The adults lay their eggs on just loose gravel. Sometimes I've seen nests in mulch, but generally it's loose substrate, and the young are precocial. So as soon as they hatch, they're like sandpipers and chickens. As soon as they hatch, they're up and moving around. They don't look like that because their method of staying alive is to remain camouflaged.
Yes.
So they tend to just sit like a lump, and it looks like they can't move. And what Beecher discovered while we were studying these birds on the roof of the Park West Theater across from his apartment in Chicago is that the young, now that the adults can barely walk, they have tiny little feet and very short little legs. And if they have to move more than an inch or two, they fly. They almost literally cannot walk. But the babies run around like chickens. They have long legs and they run really fast. And we discovered this when I went to try to pick one up, and it ran away, and Beecher was flabbergasted. And we wound up chasing these nighthawks all over this roof to weigh them and measure them and so on. But he had no clue that these birds could run like that until
That's
one
funny.
did.
It goes to show you that the habitat, the camouflage works a lot better on like the floor of a forest among the leaves rather than on top of what appears to be a plastic grocery bag, but which is probably why this bird was spotted in the first place. Yeah. I mean, it's just basically a ball of fluff with a gigantic mouth at this point, and it's gravel roads, gravel. That kind of gravel substrate on the top of flat top buildings, supermarkets, malls, whatnot. That's a great place for these things. They actually do pretty well in urban landscapes for the most part because of this. Christopher Kibler asks on Facebook, what are some good field marks for distinguishing the different nighthawks, poor wills, etc.? I assume he's talking about fledglings as opposed to adult birds. Maybe he can clarify in the comments, but I don't know that it's actually kind of difficult to identify the fledgling birds because all of the nightjars, the whippoorwills, chuckwill's widow, nighthawks, all this stuff sort of have this same basic look, like a dirty gray cotton ball with a beak on it.
And I mean, even the adults are hard to identify.
Yeah,
the nighthawk species, even if you have a clear picture of a poor will, it can be difficult if you have no other information. The best way to tell them apart is by voice. Mm-hmm. But there are clues. One thing that's always struck me about whippoorwills and chuckwill's widows is, the whippoorwill is a small bird, and a chuckwill's widow is a hefty,
much bigger than you expect it to be if you actually see one. Yes, that's absolutely true.
It's a hefty predator that's like approaching a frogmouth or something.
If you see it flying around, it almost looks like a Cooper's hawk, like a small Cooper's hawk.
Yeah. And both of these birds feed by sitting and then fly catching at night, basically. They don't cruise like nighthawks do. Mm-hmm. And, the whippoorwill's adapted to catching moths, and they've recently confirmed that chuckwill's widows will catch small birds. They'll catch things like warblers and gnatcatchers, and
especially those ones that overwinter in parts of the southeast. Every once in a while. Yeah, on the coast. They have a few of them. Here I live in North Carolina. Sometimes chuckwill's widow will overwinter on the Outer Banks or even along the coastal islands all the way south into Florida. They're tough birds. They're really sort of fascinating. And as Greg says, the size is different. The shape is a little bit different. Chuck has a big flat head, whereas whippoorwill is a little rounder. But that is awfully subjective sometimes. They can be really difficult when they're perched, and good photos. And fortunately, they don't move, so they give you an opportunity to observe them for a long time. Yeah. So shall we move on?
Let's move on.
All right. So speaking of the Carolinas, this is a photo taken from Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. That is way down on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. I was supposed to go there this summer before COVID came along and took all the fun away. But this is a bird that we see down there quite a bit. It's not a great photo. It's awfully pixelated, but there's still a lot of clues that we can see to identify this bird. And this is, one of the classic birds of the southeastern swamps, an anhinga. And this is one of the young birds, or female. You can see the big brown neck and chest, and then it's black all the way down. What you can't see is the super long tail. And you can sort of see the snake-like head, which gives it the colloquial name snakebird.
Yep. And one thing to point out is that young double-crested cormorants will get bleached out on their chest, and the belly will be darker sometimes than the chest. And in the summertime and into the fall, a lot of birds, but particularly water birds, get bleached out by the sun.
Yeah.
And you can find double-crested cormorants that have a pattern very similar to an anhinga, and it never fails every year. Here we get reports of anhingas that are actually double-crested cormorants that are just bleached.
Yeah, in flight especially, double-crested cormorant can look surprisingly like an anhinga when it's flying. Anhinga has that kind of classic big plus in the sky shape that is kind of distinctive, but I think it's underestimated how much double-crested cormorant can actually look like that as well.
Until you actually see an anhinga, and then it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I can say, down here in the southeast, they're typically not in the same places. So habitat is often a really great clue. Double-crested cormorant is going to be closer to the coast, more closely associated with saltwater, whereas the anhingas are going to be primarily on those kind of slow, swampy draws, slow-moving rivers. Things like that. That's primarily where you're going to find anhingas. And they don't, when they get up in the air and soar, anhingas are known to soar, and you will even kettle up with vultures and wood storks and whatnot. They can be seen in similar places. But for the most part, if you see them close to the ground, an anhinga is going to be in a habitat like this, very leafy. Those leaves, I can imagine them hanging like over a pond on a golf course or anywhere in Hilton Head Island, whereas the double-crested cormorant is going to be more closely associated with the shoreline. Laney King Hyde notes there's one in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Yeah, and anhingas are one of those birds that will do the post-breeding dispersal and head up north and west into places where they aren't typically found this time of year. Got anything else on anhingas, Greg?
They're awesome.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. Water turkey, snakebird, anhinga. The bird's so nice they named it thrice. Because its scientific name is anhinga. Yeah, they are. That is one of the few birds whose name is derived from an indigenous language. It's from the Tupi language in South America. Anhinga.
That's something I didn't know.
There you go. All right, so I like this bird. This is a warbler, another young warbler. We're seeing a lot of kind of younger warblers, kind of ratty-looking warblers as they're heading into molt. I thought this was an interesting bird because I was not entirely certain what it was when I saw it. I had to pay a little bit closer attention to it. This is from, and I had the correct pronunciation before, but I lost it. I apologize to all my French speakers here. The Trois Rivières, there should be a accent over the E or the I. There it is. Greg, what are your thoughts on this bird? My first gut reaction is Canada warbler, but some folks were suggesting maybe yellowthroat as well.
It's. Let me just. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to look at these beforehand, but let me just check one little thing. And this is something that when we discuss warblers, I often bring up because I think, especially when you are looking at photographs. So what we see here is it immediately strikes me as a common yellowthroat, and that's what I think it is. I think the long tail with kind of the greenish in the tail. It's got kind of the buffy flank. What's causing confusion is this dark mark on the throat, and I think that's just missing feathers.
Yeah, I hear that. Let me grab my Pull my
And
foot.
so I think that's just missing feathers.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I'm inclined to.
what I was going to say, and what I was referencing while I was talking about it there, is that one of the things we see on this bird is big pink feet, and
Mm-hmm.
that's yellowthroat. Has those big pink feet because it lives in like marshes and so on, where it's grabbing cattails.
Yeah.
And Canada warbler, it does have pink feet, but I was checking to make sure they weren't black, because that's usually a good way to tell some of the birds that look like a yellowthroat apart from them,
Mm-hmm.
is that they tend to not have pink feet.
Yeah, and I think a Canada warbler in all plumages would have more yellow in the face. Like it would have some
Mm-hmm.
yellow above the bill, kind of in the lower. It would have some
Mm-hmm.
yellow kind of, yeah, kind of would be kind of paler all through here. And this bird just doesn't have that. And yeah, I'm inclined to think that
And
it's
and Canada, Canada warbler is just kind
yellowthroat
of
as
it's a
well.
shorter tailed bird. It's
Mm-hmm,
gray on the
mm-hmm. And I
back.
think we're getting a little foreshortening here that makes the tail look a little bit shorter than it actually is here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Common yellowthroat was the consensus on in What's This Bird, and yeah, because common yellowthroat, and like my first initial gut reaction is, well, maybe Canada. I'm going to take a closer look at it. I wanted to throw it up here, but yeah, I agree with you. The common yellowthroat is probably the way to go on this one. I was just going to say one more time, if you if you like these sort of programs that Greg and I put on every other week, please let us know. Please join the ABA and help support us. We have a I'm gonna throw this over one more time to a different view where you can see above my head on my forehead the code you can use to get $10 off any ABA membership, individual membership, family membership, or e-membership. You get $10 off if you go to aba.org/join and enter that code. When you check out, you'll get $10 off an ABA membership. All right. If you have any bird ID questions, please let us know in the
And
comments.
do
We'll take them
and
as we
do
go.
note that and do note that it is all caps. We had somebody try to
Oh
use
yeah,
it the
all
other
caps.
day and didn't use all caps, and it didn't work.
Yeah. So now you know. All right. Continuing in our theme of young birds, I threw this one up there because this is a bird that I think confuses people quite a bit, especially when they see it this time of year. It is, of course, a gull. The photo was taken in Refugio County, Texas. I'm not completely up on my Texas counties, but I'm sure that's on the Texas Gulf Coast, the upper Texas Gulf Coast, I think. I could be wrong about that. But it doesn't matter too much because this is a bird that's actually pretty common on the Gulf Coast there in Texas. But this is a younger version of it. This is a laughing gull. Greg, why is this a laughing gull?
Well, again, kind of as we've mentioned a few times, the word gestalt, which is the combination of features. So things we can see here. It's got a black bill. It's got black legs, and it has little eye arcs. So it's got like a half of half of an eye ring. But there's not too many gulls that have black bills and black legs in any plumage, but juvenile plumage. Ring-billed can at times, and so can a couple of other birds. But the bill, look at the bill. It's not too heavy, and it's kind of long, and the bill shape and the size of the eye arcs would distinguish it from Franklin's gull. But Franklin's gull would have bigger eye arcs. Actually, look a bit more like the adult.
Yeah. Yeah, and those super long wings are such a
And the long
classic,
wings.
Laughing gull. Field I didn't field mark for me. I think laughing gulls just have that really distinctive, very long, kind of sharp profile that makes them especially distinctive in all plumages. But you love those kind of real nice scalloped back. That's the pale edges on all those feathers on the back and on the mantle. That's kind of a classic young bird, first year bird, juvenile
Yep.
plumage, characteristic of a lot of birds, but gulls especially.
And it's also kind of a unique, well, not unique, but it's a different color brown than ring-billed gull, which, like I said, can have a mostly dark bill and can very infrequently have dark legs. Um, but ring-billed gulls tend to be a warmer brown, and even more patterned than this.
Yeah.
And especially the scapulars, they have pale bases with dark centers, and just gives them a different overall look.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of juvenile young laughing gulls around all along the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic coast up. Boy, they get pretty far up there. They're up around Long Island, even up into New England a little bit these days. But there's a lot of these kind of birds around, so definitely keep an eye out for them. All right, got one more, and this is kind of a special one. I thought this one was so cool, so I wanted to throw it in there because we can talk a little bit about identification features that are not necessarily related to plumage. This is a sparrow that was taken at a feeder in Fairfax County, Virginia. It obviously is having some plumage issues. What is going on here?
Well, it's got a pigment issue, commonly called leucism. But I've been so while we've been talking, I've had a couple of different windows open researching this bird, because looking at what I briefly glanced at the discussion in What's This Bird, and I can't do that right. Maybe I can. But I think it looks like the consensus is a leucistic chipping sparrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was sort of my guess as well, especially down in Fairfax County, Virginia. That would be the most likely bird.
But
around DC, I think.
But there's a picture that I saw of this bird that shows a broad gray stripe down the median at the center of the crown, and a collar,
find it.
Which combined with the pale lures and everything else, I think I might lean field sparrow on this one.
Oh, interesting.
Because an adult chipping sparrow would not have that that broad gray stripe down the middle of the crown.
I mean, it does have quite a lot going on in its face right here, which I wouldn't necessarily expect to see on a chipping sparrow. I wonder if that white stripe on a field sparrow. I wonder if that white stripe down the center of the crown is like kind of a remnant thing that we don't see because, when a normally plumaged bird, but a bird that is leucistic might actually show something like that because it's sort of like a basal.
Yeah. I mean,
mark of all those kind of Spizella sparrows.
Yeah, I've got to dig into. I think Sibley did a blog. I think he did a blog post about the napes of sparrows viewed from the back, where it was mostly. I think it was geared chipping brewers, clay colored, but he may have included field sparrow. I'm gonna have to dig that up and find out, because you look at the pattern on the back of that bird's head in the other picture that we don't have up here.
I'm going to try and find it real quick.
And it's pretty distinctive. I mean, it's got a broad gray median stripe, and the two sides of the crown end in a kind of a T with a broad collar.
There, I'm popping it up here. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're talking about. I don't know if that is a median crown that goes all the way up there, because we don't really see everything.
Right.
It's just the nape. Yeah.
But this is one of those birds where, okay, so looking, and it also in the first photo, it seems to show a pale lores whereas the stripe behind the eye is
Yeah.
definitely dark. I would expect that to be a little bit darker in the front for chipping. But that's one of those birds where
Yeah.
if it was determined by DNA analysis or whatever that it definitely is one or the other, I'd be like, yeah, that's
I believe either one. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, here's the David Sibley. Mia McPherson just posted it in the comments on the YouTube on the Facebook feed, so you can have a look at that. It's about house sparrows chipping sparrows, and so unfortunately he leaves out a lot of of birds. Yeah, it's difficult. It's about streaky pattern by their back pattern, which is I'll be honest, the back pattern looks a little bit more like a chippy to me, because it's got the spot. It's like you can see the white kind of. There's some white streakings where I would expect there to be black on a normally plumaged bird. But yeah, I don't know. Like I would buy either one, to be completely honest, as you say. If someone came and told me that for sure they did the work and it came out as field sparrow or even clay-colored sparrow, I'd be like, yep, I buy it. Whatever. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
If anyone has any that's the last one I got for us, Greg. If anyone has any questions about bird ID and bird anything, I'm just going to kind of throw this around. I'm going to look at the various social media feeds and see what people are sharing. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. I realize there's a little bit of a lag, so you may be getting me saying this in a little bit, so I'm going to give Jeff Gordon notes that the tail seems a little short for field but hard to judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of those things are true. I don't know anything about where this photo was taken. If it was in like a neighborhood like the one I live in, I can tell you that chipping sparrow is, by a large margin the most common of the sparrows around.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know a place like less than a block away where I could find fields. So
absolutely. Yeah. And again, people watching in the watch party that I've got going, if you have any questions or anything you want to chat about, drop it in the comments and we'll take it up if we can.
Yeah, we're starting to run low on time. I do have an interview that I'm doing at 3:00. So
who's that?
I don't want to go too. Bridget Butler. She's going to be on the podcast in a couple weeks.
Right on.
So look up for that if you're a podcast listener. I will go one more time, and I will point to the WB10 code if you are interested in helping to support this and the many other free resources that the ABA provides to the birding community here and around the world. Please consider joining the ABA, and if you do so, you can use that WTB10 code and get $10 off an ABA membership. That is individual membership, family membership, or e-membership. Any of those you can use, and I'm going to leave that code right up above me. You can go to aba.org/join and do that. Otherwise, I'm going to give a couple minutes to see if anyone wants to ask any questions. Otherwise, we may say good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. Evan Smith typed condor. So I don't know what that's in. Maybe it was in relation to the wood duck, but Jim Eager says hi.
Jeff Calhoun notes that he's got a flock of about 6 juvenile night herons in southwest Kansas. Black-crowned night herons are common, but he thinks all 6 of them are yellow-crowned night herons. Doesn't know how to submit a picture, but would like to hear our comments. I would buy either one. I don't know. Southwest Kansas seems like black-crowned territory to me, but I would not think that yellow-crowned would be completely out of the realm of possibility for that part of the world.
It's, if you're trying to submit a picture to in the comments, typically with the watch parties, at least as far as I can see, you can't do that. But if you are a member of the What's This Bird group, or you can just join right now on Facebook. Just search "What's This Bird" and you'll pop it up. You can drop the pictures there, and we will be happy to help.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to. It's been so long since I've used a field guide. I'm a little out of practice. That's not a humble brag or anything.
Yeah, it is.
Well, like when I confirm things, I usually look at the my app.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like both night herons are possible. Funny thing about night herons, yellow-crowned night herons in particular, is that they frequently nest pretty far away from water. I've found them, at least in this part of the country, they'll nest in like neighborhoods, like well-wooded neighborhoods. Like you'll just find a random yellow-crowned night heron nest like up in a tree in an old neighborhood that has like big oaks and stuff. Pretty wild.
Yeah, there's a small population that nests in a park in southern Illinois in Granite City, north of St. Louis, and there's no water in the park. There's a baseball diamond and a bunch of tall trees, and it's a good couple miles or more from any real feeding areas for these birds, and they just fly back and forth at night.
Yeah, I used to live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which is in the eastern Piedmont, and I got my Orange County yellow-crowned night heron, which was breeding in this like really old established neighborhood, which was not close to any of the places where you would expect. It was actually really cool, and I set up a scope on the street in this residential neighborhood, and like the kids living next door came out, and we looked at this yellow-crowned night heron sitting on a nest. It was very cool. Christopher Kibler asks, what is the timing for fall migration? When can he expect different types of species to pass through? He is in Southern California. Well, a lot of birds are migrating now. Shorebirds are one of the first things to start moving. Passerine migration usually won't start until late August, September. It's a little bit different on the West Coast. The migration out there is not quite as
shorebirds and seabirds are moving now.
Yeah, but a lot of things are moving now, and will be for the foreseeable future until waterfowl finally start moving very, very late in the year. You'll have them moving even in November, early December. Lisa has a video. Oh, this hold on, I got a bird for you, Greg. I'm gonna throw it up on the PowerPoint. And then we can kind of vamp. It's a Virio. It was just given to us. Tim drew attention to us. Tim callback. I'll put it up here. It is a Virio. It is not a lot going on. It's very clean on the front. It's got the eye ring that you would expect. People asked if it's from Washington County, Minnesota. It says, can someone confirm warbling Virio? Well, it doesn't look like a warbling Virio to me. Definitely not warbling. Definitely not Philly either.
Where's this from?
It was in what's this bird from Washington County, Minnesota. There's another photo. Yeah, it's definitely not warbling or Philadelphia. It's definitely kind of an all green thing. Has it popped up for you yet?
The first image has.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to see the wings on this bird.
I can give you the wings. Hold on just a second, Greg. Copying image. I'm going to give you the next one. Here's the wings. It looks like it's got, this photo. It's got some shine right there on the wings, but it does not look like it has wing bars at all. My guess would be, there are other Bell's Virios up there? Well, kind of like a Bell's Virio to me.
That's a Bell's Virio.
Yeah.
Which is a good bird in Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, I always think of them as being kind of further south than that.
We
in Missouri, Illinois.
The big day that we do, that I've done a few times for the International Crane Foundation in Baraboo, Wisconsin, in southwest Wisconsin. Bell's Virio is one of the very, very difficult birds we find because it's at the northern edge of their breeding range, and that's a Bell's Virio.
Very nice. Bell's Virio, good bird from Minnesota. So there you go, Tim and others. Yeah, I feel pretty confident about that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've been up here for about an hour. If anyone has any other questions, please let me know. I have to step away and do something real quick. My RBA didn't post this morning. I just got an email about it.
I'll jump in and handle that.
No, that's all right. I got it.
Okay.
I'm just fixing that right now. I lost my image.
So, yeah, Bell's Virio. That's a darn good bird for Minnesota, unless they go further north in the plains part. To look at a range map real quick, but I don't think they do. I think they tend to stay further south. So,
man, I had to like click away from my I had to click away from the live video producer thing to take care of this, and now I can't get back.
Oh no, well, I think you're still there. I think I still see you.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll be. There it goes. There it goes. No.
So here we go. Bell's Virio. Oh no, you know what? Looking at this, they do extend further north up the plains into Minnesota, into southern Minnesota, and actually all the way up into North Dakota. Which there
you go.
Which I wouldn't have guessed off the top of my head, because as you go further east, that their range kind of narrows into a point that ends basically in Indiana. But in the Great Plains, yeah, they do make it up all the way to North Dakota.
There you go.
Jill Anderson asks if fulvous whistling ducks had a northern have a northern incursion of their range anywhere this year. Last year, you know, we had fulvous whistling ducks nesting in southern Illinois.
I remember that.
And that was quite a thing. As far as I have not heard a single report of any fulvous whistling ducks anywhere near you know, Illinois or northern Missouri or Indiana or anything.
It's been Limpkins this year.
Really?
Well, I think they've been
not for us.
Oh,
we had Limpkin last year, but not for us.
Yeah, there was one in Oklahoma, or at least recently, relatively recently.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first record for Oklahoma, and they seems like they're going west this year instead of north, because we had a bunch of them in North Carolina this last summer.
There have been spoonbills moving, and Indiana, I think, has had 3 spoonbills already this year. Illinois and Missouri, I'm not sure yet. I know Illinois hasn't. I don't think Missouri has.
All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I'm trying to fix this problem, and I can't get can't figure out how to get back to live to shut this video down. But we'll work on that. But I just want to remind everybody, What's This Bird 10 is the code. If you go to aba.org/join, you can sign up with the ABA. Get this annoying thing I hear that's moving my face all day. But
WTB10 is the discount code at
all caps.
Use that all caps. WTB10. What's This Bird? WTB10. Use that at aba.org/join to join us and help us produce all of this stuff that we do.
Absolutely.
From magazines to birding news to What's This Bird and everything else we do on Facebook and Twitter.
All the things.
And all the things.
So we're going to say good afternoon to you all. Come back in a couple weeks. We'll do this again if you have any other questions about birds and bird ID. Otherwise, we're going to say goodbye. Everybody have a great afternoon. And we'll see you again soon.
Enjoy the weekend, folks.
Bye-bye.
See ya.